never drinking again. It's no big loss. I'm never drinking again with Aiden Parents and Dan Ross.
Hello and welcome to the Never Drinking Again podcast with me, Dan Ross.
And me, Aiden Parents.
It's our 10th week of lockdown and our 10th non-proper show. We've now done more non-proper shows than we have done shows.
We have, which is, it's not great.
Yeah, we're the real victims.
We've come up with a concept for a podcast and then done more of just rambling on about things.
Yeah, incoherently and without any direction.
And today could be the most incoherent and non-directional one. Yeah.
Well, there's at least some structure to this one.
We always plan a structure.
Yeah.
Although we've got a bit to get through, so maybe that will keep us on the straight and narrow.
Yeah, hopefully. Or we'll just tail off and do another episode.
Or that.
So we've decided to take a very popular, radio format, Desert Island Discs, and we're adapting it to us. So we're doing our top 5 albums, not top 5 you would take on a desert island with you, because I think that's an important clarification.
Yeah, because mine it's not my top 5 favorite ever, but it's like I've gone for like a range of stuff that I like, so that
you covered all the bases.
Yeah.
So we're going to be doing album, films, and TV shows, not books, because we're not nerds. We're welcome.
I didn't name like 4 books.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've got the Harry Potter books, and then just picking my 5 favourite and putting them in order. The books I read. All the good beer guide. But I think that'd be cruel to take with you on a desert island, just reading all about pubs, and you're like, I can't go. Just drinking coconuts. So
coconut is a banging drink, to be fair.
Well, there's coconut milk.
Yeah. If you go to a tropical island and you got those guys that just cut open a coconut, put a straw in it,
that's nice.
And it's like, banging.
So I've bought coconut from Morrison's and tried to do that myself, and it's less good.
Well, I think the coconuts you get in this country are normally like the brown furry ones.
Yeah.
I've never seen it done with those. It's normally the bigger green ones.
Like
the Asian coconuts, whereas those sort of the Caribbean coconuts, I think. The brown ones.
See, look at us. We know about coconuts. Well, Aiden does. We're well travelled. Well, Aiden is. So what do you want to start with? Albums, films, or TV shows?
We'll start with albums just because that's the first one on my list.
Oh, it's the first one I did as well. Shall we each list off 5 or take it in turn?
I think we'll just go one each and let's
say
a bit about it. If I've never heard of one you say, I might ask you something.
Okay. So after you.
Okay, well, the first one I've got, this one is actually my favourite album ever, and it is Fleetwood Mac, Rumours.
Yeah.
It's a fairly a normal choice, I would say.
I'd say it's burgeoning on a cool choice. As in, all the people.
It's very popular. It's not like cool. Yeah. Oh, have you heard this new band? No one's ever heard of them.
Yeah, but people have heard of Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah, and more to the point, people have probably heard every song from that album, even if they've never listened to the album.
Yeah. So is that the one where it's basically about adultery?
Yeah, the band was originally 2 couples, and they were all sleeping with each other and with the manager and stuff like that. So they just wrote this one final album about all the rumours and stuff going around about them.
Yeah, because Bill Clinton used it as his presidential campaign music.
Yeah,
just letting everyone know, basically. So my first album I've chosen is from a band called Blood Red Shoes, and it's called Box of Secrets.
Now this sounds like a cool little indie choice.
Well, it is, but they never. Well, it makes me sad. They were my favourite band growing up. They're a 2-piece from Brighton. Female guitarist, male drummer, and it's very sort of loud indie rock. And they never got big, but they still make a lot of bands came out around that time, like 2006 to 2008, and just did one album, became a bit big, and then faded away. But Blood Red Shoes did this one album.
Razorlight, basically, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. They did this one album and they've always been on the precipice of becoming a bit big, but never quite made it. But they're still making music now, and it's still really good.
Okay.
I met them once.
I might have to search them out.
One of their songs was in Scott Pilgrim.
Okay.
And I met them when I was 16 after a gig, and the drummer signed my head. And then since then, they've been my favourite
And
band.
you haven't watched since.
I know, I haven't watched it in 3 years because I'm 19. And yeah, it was the very, very seminal album to me. Very reminds me of being young and filled with optimism, which is quickly waned.
Interesting. So my next album, it is one that most people probably haven't heard of because I'm going for a cool choice.
Okay.
But it's by a band called Clipping.
I've not heard.
Not band, more ensemble.
Oh God.
And the album's called Splendor and Misery.
Oh Jesus.
It's a hip hop album. It's a concept album, and I love it. I'm an absolute sucker for a concept album.
Yeah.
And it's all about like space travel is normal. It's the norm. But slavery still exists in space, and then the slaves all sort of rise up and start taking over the ships.
I mean, that does sound class, actually, to be fair. Like,
yeah, because a lot of the beats and stuff, they're made with like old sci-fi effects from like 1970s, 80s movies. It's got a real like space and space theme to the music.
Anti-slavery. Are they American? I'm guessing.
I'm like 90% sure.
How did you discover this?
It was, I think somebody it was on Twitter. I think some rando tweeted about it, and then someone I follow retweeted it, and I was like, that sounds pretty cool. That sounds like the sort of thing I'd like. Listen to it. It's an absolutely fantastic album.
I might check that out. See, we're really, culturally helping each other today. Because we don't normally have these conversations about music. We just talk about the pub or beer or slag off people we know. Those are the conversations we have with each other. I wasn't really sure.
And that's the conversation we had before we pressed record.
Yeah. There's some that we've had afterwards that I've got recordings of. I was like, we need to release these. But if you listen to this and you're worrying, oh, was it us? Was it me they're talking about? Yes, it was. So what was that? Clippings, is it called?
Yeah, Clipping. It's all lowercase and they've got a full stop at the end of the name.
Yeah, of course it is. So my second choice, it depends what you view of the rules of this. You might say it's not allowed.
Don't tell me it's a greatest hits.
It's not a greatest hits.
Yeah.
But it's the album of the 2019 Eurovision Song Contest.
For fuck's sake.
Is that allowed?
Just because it is shit, I'll allow it.
Oh, thank you very much. But yeah, 2019.
If you came up with now 89, that was the best one, then I'd.
That's not on.
Yeah, because there weren't any loads of hits on it. I'll allow it.
Well, I'd beg to differ.
Well, objectively, there were not lots of hits.
Yeah, as in popular songs.
Yes.
Bangers. It's full of bangers. So 2019 is probably my favourite Eurovision year. Obviously, the winner, Arcade by Duncan Alexander. That's a tune. You've got Soldu by Mahmood. You've got Hatari with Hagrid Mix Citra. I could go on, and I will. Even some
all sound like craft beers.
There was the Australian entry, Gravity, which is a good song. There was Lake Malawi with Friend of a Friend, banger. Michaela Chameleon, banger. It's just wall to wall, not hits.
You don't need to go on.
But tunes, and I still listen to the songs from that Eurovision, even to this day.
Right.
It's in no way sad.
It's life.
Well, it was like I was saying before we started. It's like I don't want to. If we'd have done this like 5 years ago, or maybe even 3 years ago, I would have been like, Joy Division, Unknown Pleasures, and they're like trying to be all cool. But like now, I can't be bothered with being cool. I'm just gonna be like, I fucking love Eurovision and bands.
Well, some would say that the coolest thing to do is to not try and impress anyone.
Exactly. I want to unimpress people, which is cool. I want people to listen to this and be like, what a knob, because I'm so cool. So should we move on to your
my third choice? I'm not saying this is a great album, but there are some times you just want some nice pop songs. Some days it's a nice weather and you're like, just want some nice easy pop tunes, which is what I've gone for. Calvin Harris, 18 Months.
Okay. Is that one of it? I bought his first album. But
he had 9 top 10s on this album.
Okay.
Like Feel So Close, We Found Love, Drinking from the Bottle, Sweet Nothing, like there's loads of them.
He's one of them Calvin Harris that, like, when you actually think about it, basically every big song or every like big
he's done a lot of it.
Is him
big songs. He is genuinely very good at what he does. That kind of poppy sound. And he has some absolute bangers that actually aren't on this album, but the albums they were on weren't, like, there were only 2 bangers on.
He's one of them where it's like, because he's big now, and you're too young to remember MySpace, but he literally got big because of MySpace, and he was one of them acts that literally just added everyone, and then would like message people saying, "Oh, do you want to listen to my songs?" And then he became massive. Like Lily Allen did the same thing.
Okay, that's cool. I thought Lily Allen was helped by the fact she's got famous family. Keith Allen and Harry Enfield.
Oh yeah, Harry Enfield, her stepdad, isn't it?
Yeah. Because Keith Allen, she doesn't like. I think he left when she was young. And
yeah, I don't think she has much to do with it.
There's a lot of tension there. Like she considers Harry Enfield to be her dad.
Ah.
What a weird family.
Yeah, I was just watching The Windsors before we started recording, so which has Harry Enfield in.
Oh, does it? Okay.
Have you never seen it?
I've never heard of it.
Oh, what? So it's this Channel 4 show, and it's like a sitcom, but done as like a spoof soap about the royal family.
Okay.
And Harry Enfield plays Prince Charles. By the people who did. Do you ever watch Star Stories?
Never heard of it.
Oh man. Well, it's by them.
Okay.
You need to brush up on your Channel 4 comedy programs.
But anyway, yeah, I'm not saying this is like an amazing album. Everyone should go listen to it, but there are some days where you just want that kind of poppy sound.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna. I agree with that wholeheartedly.
So that's why I've chosen it.
Most days for me. So I've picked again. This could be considered rogue. But I've picked the Book of Mormon official soundtrack.
Fuck off.
As my third pick.
You're such a wanker.
Why is that wanker? That's not wanker.
No, it is.
Well, I want it.
Why would you like to take this to a desert island?
Because the songs are really good, for one. And I was going to pick the official soundtrack to a different musical, but then I realised I could put that soundtrack surreptitiously in one of the other lists. So I was like, what other musical soundtrack is good? Book of Mormon. There's so many good songs. Hasadiga Ibawai. I Believe. Mormon Hell Dream. Like, it's a good album. Not everything has to be bands in lowercase with full stops at the end doing concept albums about slavery in space. Good classic. And the music's by Robert Lopez, who did the music for Frozen. He's an EGOT winner. You haven't got an EGOT, have you?
I haven't got an EGOT, no.
You've not even got an E, a G, an O, or a T individually?
No, I mean, if I got any of those, I would consider that to be the end of my career and I would retire.
Which one do you think you're most likely to get? A Tony?
No, definitely. An Emmy. I think I'm most likely to get an Emmy.
TV, yeah. But the Grammy does have a comedy album category.
They do now, don't they? Actually?
Yeah.
Dave Chappelle's won it a few times.
Yeah. I mean, I think normally The Lonely Island would just win it by default.
Yeah.
But they've put like stand-up shows. So
Yeah, stand up, because most is definitely a thing in America that like they release when they have a new special, a 1 hour show, they call it an album.
Yeah. So you could win that. That's your Grammy. You get an Emmy. You'll do a TV show. There's your Emmy.
That's the Emmy.
Oscar. You could write something. Steve Coogan's got an Oscar for writing.
Philomena, is that?
Yeah.
Good film, that.
So there's your Philomena's a great film. So there's your ego. How are we gonna get you a Tony? I don't think you could be in a musical. Oh, you could
write a play, can't you?
Yeah, one of your film that you wrote could be adapted into
I could write a musical.
Go on then.
And I probably won't, considering I don't like musicals.
It's just a ridiculous thing to say.
I might write one just to prove how shit they are.
Musical not. This is like, when people say they don't like beer. You can't not like musicals. There'll be a musical you like.
Probably.
You'd like.
No, I'm not saying I don't like all musicals. But it's like I don't like action films. There are a few which slip through the net, and I like them.
It's more the idea of it.
On the whole, I dislike a lot more than I like.
Piffle, I say to you.
I mean, there's one good musical.
What?
High School Musical 2.
Have you not seen Book of Mormon?
No.
Book of Mormon is class.
There's not a film of it.
Okay. Have you not seen Les Mis?
No. Oh god, that sounds like my nightmare. A musical that's going to be miserable. I don't like miserable films, and I don't like musicals.
It's uplifting in parts. Les Mis
is called The Miserables.
Les Mis is fucking class. And the film is not even meant to be that good of an adaptation because I've never seen it on stage. But I really like the film, so I can imagine
the recent film or the 90s film.
The recent one, Tom Hopper one.
I was going to watch the slightly older but not super old one.
Yeah, the early 90s one. But no, the recent one's really good.
No.
Apart from Russell Crowe. And also, I really hate what's his name. Eddie Redmayne, he's annoying.
I don't know enough about him.
Well, just agree with me, just to make me feel valid.
I don't like the fact that he won an Oscar for playing someone who can't move. But
yeah, this seems very easy.
It's like, sit down for 2 hours. Sweet.
Yeah, he's just cheating his way to an EGOT. So, what's your fourth album going to be?
My fourth album, I'm going back to being a little bit cool, but I think some people have heard of it, or at least heard a couple of songs off this album.
Yeah.
And that is a band called Superorganism and the album of the same name. Superorganism.
The self-titled album.
Yeah, which I don't like it when bands do that.
Was it a self-titled debut or?
Yeah.
See, that I'm kind of okay with that, but when bands call their album their name and it's like their fourth album, lads, be a bit more. Blur did that. It's like, be a bit more inventive.
Came up with AM at the fifth album.
Look, thinking of a name for albums is easy. You just have to say something that sounds vaguely cool, but just not.
Throw a load of words together. It doesn't matter. You know those fridge magnets you get, which are a bunch of words.
Oh yeah, just
jump them around. You'll have a few album titles in there.
Yeah, I mean, just look around and see whatever you can see and think, would that make a good album title? Like, I see a beer can next to me called Sun Trap. Sun Trap would be a good name for an album.
Yeah. But it is a very good album. It's very relaxing.
What genre?
Let's see what they say it is. Okay, it's called indie pop.
Okay.
What they're claiming. It's a bit more spacey than that. Like, it's very.
They've got 8 members.
Yeah, they've got loads of people in it.
That's very hipstery.
Like, they don't even all record in the same country or anything. Like, one person is living in New Zealand and they'll just go to the studio and record there. But they, I think they're very good. They've got songs we might have heard, rather Everybody Wants to Be Famous or Something for Your Mind.
Okay.
They got a little bit popular.
A little bit popular. That's the level.
I think one of them was on one of the FIFAs and stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah, imagine if I heard it. If it's on a FIFA, it'll be subconsciously
I think
burrowed
it was
into.
FIFA 18 because it was a FIFA I actually didn't have because I didn't hear of them through that.
I didn't hear them through a video game because I'm cool.
I don't know how I found about them. I think it was on like a recommended on Spotify or Amazon Music or something.
I always just ignore them. I'm like, I know what I like. Fuck you, algorithm. Don't tell me what to listen to.
Yeah, good album. Go listen to it, everyone.
So I'm going for a similarly, lesser known artist that most people might not have heard of. So my fourth pick.
Please don't let it be the Holloways.
No, fuck that. It's Taylor Swift with the album 1989.
Right.
So this was a hard choice because obviously he's got a lot of good albums. Lover, which just came out, is very good. Reputation before that, probably less good. And then you've got Red and 1989, which are the two.
Red, I actually thought was decent.
They're the two that like. So it's her transition from country to pop.
Yeah.
So like Red is a bit more country with a bit of pop, whereas 1989 is a lot more pop with a bit of country sprinkled in. I was last night when I was deciding which one to pick.
What I like the big songs from 1989 because I get them all confused.
1989 is Shake It Off,
Okay.
Out of the Woods, Welcome to New York, Blank Space, Bad Blood, and then
okay. So a few big hits.
Yeah, Red is
Red's I Knew You Were Trouble.
Yeah, I Knew You Were Trouble, 22, We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together, and the song Red. And I think Red has the better singles, but I think 1989 has the better album tracks. So that's what swung it for me.
Right.
Songs like How You Get the Girl, This Love, I Know Places, Wonderland, New Romantics. It's a proper all killer no filler album, 1989.
Okay.
I was just waiting for a response.
I have nothing to add. I don't know much about Taylor Swift apart from the fact I get very irritated by her.
Pardon?
She is irritating. Like, you wouldn't want to be friends with her.
I disagree wholeheartely there, sir. I would very much like to be friends with Taylor Swift.
No, she seems like she'd be
It's my life
very
goal.
irritating.
No, you just not got to know the real Taylor. Not like I have. You're part of this Kim Kardashian, Kanye West narrative, which is just false perceptions.
Is it though?
Yes. You need to watch that documentary about her on Netflix. That'll change your mind.
I'm just not going to do that.
I think you definitely are going to do that.
I'm absolutely not going to do that.
Let's pause the podcast now. And you can go watch.
Have you watched the documentary about that?
Yes, obviously.
See, because I can't tell if you're genuinely a Taylor Swift fan or if you just keep saying you are for a joke.
It's one of them where I think it probably started off as a joke and now it's become...
You started off being like, I like Taylor Swift, then you listened to a bunch of stuff and was like, actually, no, I really like Taylor Swift.
I mean, I've got like every album.
Yeah, but in the age of streaming, that's not an achievement.
No, but like, as in I bought them.
Oh, shit, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've actually paid... I mean, I'm old school. So
Is she still doing that thing where she's not on streaming services?
No, she stopped that because they... See, that's the thing. She wouldn't go on streaming service because they didn't pay people properly. And then she got them all to change, and so now a lot of like smaller artists are getting better money from streaming services. And you criticise her. She's on Spotify now. And Apple Music, I think.
I know Apple Music, she was always on. Because that was like the ones that were slightly better.
Yeah, and the cool thing about old T-Swizz as well is she plays into these whole media controversies with her music and videos and stuff. Like in the video for Look What You Made Me Do,
That was a good video. Is that the one with all of them at the end?
All the different
all the different
yeah. But like she robs a streaming service in the video.
Okay.
Like It's like
Yeah.
a bank robbery, but if you look, she's not robbing a bank, she's robbing a streaming service.
Okay.
Which is funny.
Well, you're never going to win me round to her.
Never say never.
Right, well, my final album is... I really struggled with this one because I haven't got anything kind of indie rocky on there.
Yeah.
And I quite like that genre, so I was really struggling to find like one really good album because there's a lot of hits I like in that genre.
A lot of them sort of muddle together. There's no real massive standout. Well, there's a few that are a lot bigger, but there's no real...
Yeah, so the one I went for was Oasis, Definitely Maybe.
Ugh. Okay. I'm not a massive Oasis. I used to like properly not like Oasis because I was into Blur. And I was like, that's the thing to do. And I've warmed to them in recent years, but I'm still a bit... I don't know. Seems like they're one of them ones that everyone likes, so it's just not cool to like them.
Because they're good, that's why.
What annoys me with Oasis as well is people who are really into them dress like Liam and Noel, and it's like but they're all proper like blokey, patriarchal men.
Yeah.
But if like someone was really into like a pop band and they dressed as the people in the pop band, they'd be like, "Oh, that's really gay." Like you're dressed as Noel Gallagher and talking with a Manchester accent, and you're from fucking Stoke. Well, Stoke, you're from like Birmingham. It's just like you're doing exactly the same thing, except you're a grown adult man, so it's a much more sad.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's what I rant about.
But I don't
why you like them.
I just like the songs, and this album has got "Live Forever," "Supersonics," "Cigarettes and Alcohol," which are three of my
they're three of the
Oasis
ones.
songs.
It's generally considered the best Oasis album.
Wait, is that or "What's the Story, Morning Glory"?
Yeah.
Which has the bigger hits potentially, like "Wonderwall" and "Don't Look Back in Anger."
Yeah, but definitely maybe is the more. That's the one the real fans pick.
Yeah, well, it was their first one.
Oh, it was the real, and it really broke them, didn't it?
Well, yeah, because we did release a debut album with "Live Forever," which is still possibly their best song. It's
I think "Live Forever" or "Don't Look Back in Anger" are probably my favourite Oasis.
Yeah. Wonderwall would be good if it wasn't so easy to play on guitar, so that everyone plays it all the time.
And everyone who like thinks they're a bit good at guitar can now play it. They're like, "Oh, do you want to hear me play Wonderwall at this house party?" No, I don't. Go away. Why have you brought your guitar?
Yeah, if it was slightly harder to play on guitar, I think Wonderwall would be considered like one of the great songs.
Yeah, it's one of it's really popular, but it's not considered an amazing song in comparison to the others here.
But it is like if you didn't listen to it, but like trying to listen to it with fresh ears, it is genuinely a really good song.
But it's very hard to put fresh ears on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I knew you'd pick Oasis. I don't know why. I just knew you would. I feel like every man of our age picks Oasis. It's like if anyone of our age was asked to pick their favourite footballers, Beckham would feature.
I was almost going to go with the Kasabian album. But...
Okay, but that's basically Oasis.
It's not. They're quite different.
Anyway, I'll stop slagging off English bands.
Yeah, and then tell me your fifth pick.
My fifth pick. So, I mean, this is going to be very much an embodiment of me as a person. But this album reminds me of my childhood because when I was like 8 or 9, which is when this came out, I knew like every word of every song. And it's the Marshall Mathers LP.
I thought you were. Part of me thought, I bet Dan's going to go with Marshall Mathers LP.
Yeah, because when this came out,
did you want to seem cool?
No, like genuinely,
I listened to Eminem, which is like white people thinking they're cool.
When I was a kid,
listen to a concept album about space slavery, then come back to me, Dan.
Listen to the 2019 Eurovision album, but no, basically, like I, it's really weird looking back to think that like I was listening to this when I was 8. Like, I was listening to some of the songs last night, like Under the Influence, which starts by going, "Now you can suck my dick if you don't like my shit," because I was high when I wrote this, so suck my dick. Like, I shouldn't have been listening to that. How was this allowed? And then like Kim as well is on that album, the song where he talks about killing his wife.
Oh yeah.
And you're like, probably shouldn't be listening to that.
He's got a few songs like that.
Yeah.
The ones with
Or Guilty
Right.
Conscience.
Oh.
Yeah.
is
Isn't it
it's What's the Difference? And it's like Dre's like, yeah, if you want to kill your baby mama, I'll back you. And it's like, what?
But it also has like the hits on there as well, like The Way I Am, The Real Slim Shady, and Stan. So, but then the album,
An incredible song.
Stan's definitely
Because it just partly just to like do that anyway.
yeah.
And for then to be that one of your biggest songs.
Yeah, wasn't it? It didn't get to number one hit. Was Stan the one that's kept off number one by Bob the Builder? I know it did get to number one apparently. Maybe it was kept off Christmas. Maybe it was nearly Christmas number one because it came out in November 20. I vaguely remember Bob the Builder happening to it. I'm looking at the official.
Bob the Builder beats Westlife's What Makes Them. Which, right, okay, fine.
But speaking of like chart listing, I was looking at the Eurovision album, and it came. The highest it got in. This is the compilation charts. It was 8th when it got to number 8 when it came out. I was like, what compilation albums are other people buying?
Yeah, like what the compilation charts? I don't even know.
And do you know what was number one when it was Now That's What I Call Music 2012. This was in 2019. But I suppose it's streaming, isn't it? That's what will fuck up the compilation charts.
Right, yeah, of course, because if you just go and listen to a song, half the time it does come from a compilation album.
Yeah. So it's not really fair on the Eurovision. It should have gone on number one. But I'm sure they don't mind. But yeah, I was like when I was
I've just looked at the compilation charts for right now.
Yeah, what's number one?
Number one is Now That's What I Call Music 105.
Okay.
Then number 2 is The Greatest Showman, which is from some time ago.
I know, but that streaming as well. I'm probably contributing to that quite heavily.
The Suicide Squad soundtrack is at number 9.
Really?
That was like 2016 or something.
Yeah. Again, it's streaming. Like people will be listening to without realizing that.
Yeah.
So that is the list of our Desert Island albums. We've talked for longer than we expected. So next week, in fact, we will be talking about our Desert Island films. And so you've got something to look forward to there, guys.
Yeah, I think we came up with. We haven't just gone straight down the middle, really popular albums, which everyone's going to have heard of. Hopefully, somebody might listen to something we've said and become a new fan
of Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a nice mix we've got of like pop, indie.
Yeah, because that was my thing. I wanted to try and get stuff from like every genre.
Yeah, and it's also you need to make sure it's albums you wouldn't get bored of.
Yeah,
that's the big thing. And that's going to be important with the films as well. So thanks for listening, and we will see you next week where you'll get to hear about our 5 favourite films.
Booyah.
I'm never drinking again. It's no big loss. I'm never drinking again with Aiden parents and Dan Ross.